Only one out of every odd sound we hear around us is the thing that we think it is. Some are made explicitly to play on our minds and convictions. This frequently occurs, for instance, when we consider a particular sound as a pointer of the quality or viability of a product. Manufacturers know this, as well, and regularly engineer the clamors their items make to fulfill our mistaken convictions. Carmakers particularly are liable of this. Be that as it may, film and TV studios, cell phone producers, and even food organizations have gotten on board with the fleeting trend. 10. Electric car engines. The motors of gas and diesel-controlled vehicles make loads of commotion. Be that as it may, that isn't the situation with the motors of electric and half-and-half vehicles. Electric vehicles frequently have rather calm motors that alone become progressively quieted at lower speeds. These for all intents and purposes quiet motors are a danger to oblivious people on foot, who are regularly ignorant an electric vehicle is coming their direction. Research by the European Union shows that people on foot are 40% bound to be struck by an electric vehicle than one with a gas engine. This is the reason the European Union commanded in 2019 that producers of electric and mixture vehicles include counterfeit motor commotions, alluded to as an acoustic vehicle alert system (AVAS), to their vehicles. An AVAS produces counterfeit motor sounds that surface when the vehicle is going at speeds beneath 19 km for each hour, 12 miles per hour. The EU permits carmakers settle on the points of interest of the sound they need, however the commotions are required to seem like those made by customary motors. Electric and half-breed carmakers are required to add the sound to each new vehicle moving off their sequential construction systems. Prior models as of now on the avenues must have the option to make the sounds by July 2021. 9. In-car engine noise. Talking about loud gas motors, carmakers have consistently chipped away at lessening that clamor. Nowadays, motors are calmer than they were a couple of decades back. Carmakers have additionally overhauled their lodges to lessen commotion from outside the vehicle, making the ride impressively quieter. This unnecessary quietness has become an issue for carmakers with superior models. The motors generally aren't sufficiently noisy to make the forceful sounds related with sports vehicles or turbocharged motors. The thunder of the motor is additionally hosed by the calm lodges, further denying the driver of that sports vehicle feel. These days, carmakers include counterfeit motor sounds inside the lodges of their elite vehicles. Portage and Porsche utilize an innovation they call the sound symposer. The sound symposer is really a channel that runs from the admission complex, the piece of the motor that moves air and fuel into the motor chambers, into the rear of the dashboard. The Volkswagen Group utilizes the sound actor from sound actuator in vehicles it works under its Volkswagen, Audi, and Škoda divisions. The sound actor is really a little gadget covered up at the base of the windshield. It works like a speaker to make counterfeit sounds that go directly into the cabin. BMW utilizes what it calls active sound. This one conveys intensified motor clamor to the driver through the vehicle speakers. While BMW demands the sounds are genuine, a few cynics figure they could be phony. 8. Almost every sound in movies. Pretty much every non-discourse sound we hear in motion pictures isn't genuine, as in it wasn't caught during shooting but instead was included post-production. This happens on the grounds that film chiefs and sound architects are increasingly worried about catching more clear exchange during creation. In addition, the sounds included post-production are frequently of preferable quality over the genuine thing. Fake sounds included post-production are alluded to as Foley and are made by proficient sound makers called Foley specialists. The Foley craftsmen frequently make the sounds in the most arbitrary manners. Consider horsefoot sounds being made by a Foley craftsman beating two parts of a coconut together, a la Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Steel fleece, cellophane, and potato chip sacks are utilized to mirror the hints of a fire, while playing a game of cards or books are utilized to impersonate the sound of cash. That positioning weapon is really a satchel hook, and the sound of a fowl's wing is made by beating a quill duster or two-hand gloves together. Foley craftsmen likewise get imaginative when thinking of sounds for battle scenes. They hit uncooked steak, chicken, or telephone directories to impersonate the sound of a punch. At the point when heads get crushed, it is frequently the Foley craftsman dropping a pumpkin or watermelon. 7. Screams at stadiums and sport arenas. We regularly expect arenas and game fields to be boisterous. In any case, what happens when they are surprisingly peaceful or not boisterous enough? We include counterfeit sounds, of course. For a beginning, engineers regularly plan arenas to keep the commotion in. In any case, some arena supervisors take things somewhat further by conveying counterfeit shouts through the amplifiers. They could likewise catch genuine commotion from the arena and intensify it before conveying once again into the arena through the amplifiers. Some of the time, arena and group supervisors save their live onlookers from the phony commotions and simply plot with TV slots to include counterfeit sounds for the watchers at home. However, counterfeit sounds could be expensive, since certain games coordinators consider the training unlawful. In 2015, the National Football League requested the Atlanta Falcons to pay a $350,000 fine after they conveyed counterfeit sounds through the amplifiers to emulate shouting supporters during a match on their home field. 6. Bird noise in golf courses. Have you at any point paid heed to the foul sounds while watching a golf competition? Turns out they're not in every case genuine. In 2000, CBS confessed to including counterfeit feathered creature sounds into live transmissions of the PGA Championship. John Fitzpatrick, an ornithologist, made the revelation subsequent to seeing that the winged creature sounds took after those he'd heard viewing a previous game. He called CBS, and a laborer conceded that the system had played recorded winged animal commotions during the championship. Interestingly, in 2001, CBS uncovered that few different birdwatchers and ornithologists had likewise called to ask about the phony foul sounds. The system came back to the news again in 2019, when birdwatchers and ornithologists presumed it was adding counterfeit feathered creature sounds to the Masters. People got dubious in the wake of hearing an exorbitant measure of fledgling clamors during the game. The sounds demonstrated there were part of winged animals at the green, despite the fact that it was not really. CBS denied including counterfeit feathered creature sounds this time. In any case, the system included that it enhanced the hints of the flying creatures at the course. 5. Car turn signal sound. That tick-tock sound you hear when you draw in your vehicle's blinker or flashers is phony, as well. The sound used to be genuine, however, and its history is attached to that of the blinker itself. Blinkers originally showed up in the mid-20th century. Be that as it may, they were not normalized, and carmakers consistently thought of various designs. This changed during the 1930s, when Joseph Bell developed the cutting-edge blinker. Chime's blinker went ahead when a bimetallic spring contacted another bit of metal to finish a circuit. The spring quickly severed contact before contacting the metal once more, making the light gleam and make a tick-tock sound. The lights and sound proceeded as the terminal and spring more than once contacted and separated. Later blinkers utilized electromagnets. In any case, they despite everything made the tick-tock sound when the magnets pulled and discharged pivoted metal armatures. Current blinkers don't make sounds since they use PCs instead of contacting parts. In any case, carmakers despite everything include the sound, at any rate. The clamor is conveyed through the vehicle's speakers or some other electrical gadget covered up under the dashboard. 4. The sound of potato chips. Potato chip creators engineer their chips to be crunchy on the grounds that they realize we partner that crunchiness with newness. This hypothesis is sponsored by a recent report which demonstrates that we consider crunchy potato chips as new and crunch-less potato chips as stale. The study was led by Professor Charles Spence of Oxford University. He gave earphones and potato chips to his 180-man test gathering. Every member wore the earphones, which Professor Spence asserted were basically enhancing the sound of the potato chips they were eating. In any case, Professor Spence was really changing the hints of the chips as they ate. The members connected the stronger sounds with newness and the more vulnerable sounds with staleness. Potato chip creators have known this for quite a while, which is the reason they make their chips and even the bundling boisterous. Presently you know why that pack of chips makes loads of commotion when you get it. 3. Fake camera shutter sounds. That trademark shade sound you hear when a computerized or cell phone camera snaps a photo is without a doubt counterfeit. Present-day cameras don't have to make that sound. In the cameras of old, it was the sound of their instruments operating. Modern computerized and cell phone cameras don't make clamor. Be that as it may, advanced camera and cell phone producers included the shade sound, at any rate. The sound is conveyed by a speaker covered up inside the camera. Luckily, clients can for the most part flip the phony shade sounds on or off. 2. The Mosquito that utilizes fake sound to drive individuals off. By individuals, we mean young people. Its creator, Compound Security of the United Kingdom, doesn't attempt to conceal this. It showcases the item as a hostile to young person alert, adolescent anti-agents, and ultrasonic high school deterrent. Compound Security says its item is the ideal device for forestalling wrongdoing and freeing a zone of undesirable youngsters. It says its customers are organizations that have issues with children and teenagers, who frequently gather close by to carry out wrongdoing or simply establish a disturbance. Compound Security says the Mosquito has the teeth to nibble back at these kids. The Mosquito works by impacting shrill sounds at a region. The commotion is irritating and, as indicated by Compound Security, seems like a morning timer. Notwithstanding, because of the sound's recurrence, it is just heard by individuals underneath 25, since they frequently have preferred hearing over the individuals who are older. The Mosquito stays a dubious item, since it focuses on each adolescent and youthful grown up inside its range, criminal or not. In any case, it is utilized by a few organizations, including Scotrail, which introduced it at its Hamilton and Helensburgh stations in Scotland. Scotrail obtained the item in the wake of watching an expansion in violations submitted by young people at the influenced stations. 1. Comfort noise. Voice over Internet Protocol (VoIP) specialist co-ops frequently need to manage the unavoidable reverberation that surfaces during calls. This reverberation is called foundation clamor and comes up during times of quietness, which really happens a great deal, taking into account that individuals hush up for a fraction of the time they are occupied with a conversation. VoIP specialist organizations need to expel this commotion on the off chance that they need to keep up great sound quality. Before, they expelled or decreased the clamor with reverberation retraction (EC) and quietness concealment (SS) advancements. Nowadays, they simply infuse comfort clamors during times of quiet when the foundation commotion would have dominated. The solace commotion is made by PC calculations and copies the genuine clamor made by radio signs. Solace commotion additionally helps keep transfer speed use lower, which sets aside cache for the clients and specialist co-ops. On the drawback, the calculations can possibly make awful sounds that could immediately get disturbing. We're at the end of this video. If you like the video, don't forget to comment, like the video and subscribe to the channel.